Welcome back. This is the third session on the analysis of DC electrical circuits. In this, we are going to look at the principle of duality. Before we look at the principle of duality, we would like to see what are going to be the outcomes once we complete this session. After completing this session, we should be able to understand what are duals in electricity, give some examples of duals that are complementary, give examples of mathematical forms of physical equations representing duality, use dual nature to convert voltage sources into current sources and vice versa. This is going to be the plan for the session. Now, in electronics and electricity, there are duals or pairs of quantities. As I was telling you, in electrical and electronics technologies, there are certain terms which are duals of each other. Now, what do I mean by duals? Some of the pairs of quantities that are spoken of as duals are A, current and voltage, parallel combination, series combination of resistors in circuits, the quantity resistance and the quantity conductance, which are reciprocals of each other. Similar pairs of quantities that are reciprocals of each other are susceptance for reactance and admittance for impedance. While reactance represents the frequency dependent opposition offered by a component to the flow of AC current through it, susceptance is the reciprocal of it. And as you know, for any AC circuit, there may be rather a DC component, a resistor may be there in the circuit, and also there can be reactive components like capacitors and inductors. So when there is such a case, then there is a resistor as well as there is a reactance associated. There is a resistance as well as a reactance present in the circuit. Together, you speak of them as impedance. So, impedance represents the total opposition offered by a component to the flow of AC current through it. The reciprocal of that quantity represents the ease with which current can flow through a component in an AC circuit, and that is known as the admittance. Similarly, if we go to conditions of various circuits, short circuit, open circuit, Kirchhoff's law, voltage law, Kirchhoff's current law and Kirchhoff's voltage law, the Thevenin's theorem and the Norton's theorem. These are some examples of duals. Now, what do we understand when we have taken all these examples? Duals in several cases represent the complements of a given quantity. For example, resistance, conductance, they are the opposites of each other. If resistance determines the difficulty in establishing a current through a component, conductance expresses the ease with which you can establish current in a component. But the two are same. In other words, what I mean to say is, the opposition offered is inversely proportional to the ease offered. So that idea also you should keep in mind. So, these are some examples of duals. What happens essentially is, whenever you talk of these quantities or these calculations, as in the case of parallel and series circuits, when you find the equivalent resistances, you can express a given quantity in the same manner as you express its dual. For example, we can look at the distribution of voltage in a series circuit. In general, the Ohm's law expression is V is equal to IR, where I is the current flowing through a component, R is its resistance. You know that the reciprocal of resistance is conductance, and conductance is represented by G. Therefore, if I have to express the same equation, V is equal to IR, in terms of the conductance, then I will say I is equal to GV, where G equal to 1 by R is the conductance, the reciprocal of resistance. You can say that V is equal to IR and I is equal to GV have the same mathematical form, although the two quantities are different. So, a current is a dual of voltage. Similarly, a resistance is the dual of conductance. Here is an example of a mathematical equation representing two duals which have the same form. Similarly, for a series combination of resistors, let us say two resistors R1 and R2 connected across a source of EMF V. I told you in the earlier classes that a series combination of resistors is a voltage divider circuit. So, the two voltage drops V1 and V2 across resistors R1 and R2 can be simply put as V1 is equal to V into R1 divided by R1 plus R2. In a similar manner, V2, the other voltage drop, can be taken as V into R2 divided by R1 plus R2. This is a relationship which expresses voltage division. Now, what would be the dual of this? The dual of this will be a relationship that expresses the current division. So, if you have two resistors connected in parallel, then the branch currents I1 and I2, they are given as I into G1 by G1 plus G2 and I into G2 by G1 plus G2. So, this represents you have to be careful here. The usual expression that we make use of says branch current I1 is equal to main current I into resistance of the other branch divided by sum of the resistances. Here, because I am using the conductance, I will get the conductance of the same branch. That difference you have to notice here. So, I1 is equal to I into G1 by G1 plus G2. I2 is equal to main current I into G2 by G2 plus G1. So, you find here again that currents and voltages or current and voltage which are duals can also be expressed in forms that are similar. When you express mathematical equations, they have the similar forms, but the quantities themselves are duals of each other. That you should remember. Now, so what do we say, conclude in general? In general, we could conclude that duality refers to pairs having a similar origin, such as electricity and magnetism. Why I am saying this? I am saying this because whenever a current flows in a conductor, magnetic field is generated. And whenever the magnetic flux linking a coil changes, you will have voltage induced in it. So, electricity and magnetism, they are the duals of each other in general. Similarly, duality also refers to pairs which are inverses of each other, such as resistance and conductance, reactance and susceptance, impedance and admittance. Duals, you can also find them in electric circuits. Two circuits are said to be duals of each other if you have a situation wherein the mesh equations of one of them have the same form as the nodal equations of the other. Now, what do I mean here? We know KVL, we know the branch current method, we know the mesh current method. We are usually doing, or rather solving problems using these two methods, branch current or mesh current. There is another method in which you make use of KCL. We assign to the nodes in the given circuit voltages. For example, if ABC are three nodes in a particular network, we assign voltages to A, B and C, let us say as VA, VB and VC. Suppose there is the fourth node, then we make that fourth node arbitrarily as the reference node and give it a voltage 0. You know that at any node the algebraic sum of the currents is 0. Using that idea, we express each current in terms of the potential difference across its ends and the value of the resistance itself. If you write such equations, in fact, in the study material, you may find this method also explained in detail. So, when such a thing happens, you make exclusive use of KCL, and when you get equations for meshes in terms of KCL and the equations for meshes in terms of KVL, the same meshes that we will be talking about, if their forms have the same shape, in other words, if they are of the same form, it indicates that the voltage or current in one of the circuits respectively behaves in the same manner as the current or voltage in the other circuit. You also have to follow the order here. Voltage or current in one circuit behaves like the current or voltage of the other circuit. If you are taking voltage in one, you have to talk of current in the other and vice versa. Be careful about the order. Not the two voltages, not the two currents. Voltage in one, current in the other, they behave in a similar fashion. This is because the mesh equations are written in terms of voltage usually. That is what we have been talking about. And the nodal equations, as I told you now, are written making use of currents and KCL. So, currents and voltages themselves are duals. So, an equation for a mesh in terms of a voltage is the dual of an equation for the same mesh written in terms of currents. Further, the two circuits are known as or are called as exact duals of each other if the mesh equations of one have the same numerical values with the nodal voltage equations of the other. So, in other words, if there are two meshes, you write out KVL equations for those two meshes. Using the nodal voltage method, we write out the nodal equations, that is in terms of current and resistance for the same meshes. If the two equations are identical, then they are known as the exact duals of each other. But what you have to remember is that the currents and voltages themselves will not be identical. Same current iralla, same voltage iralla ಆ circuits ಅಲ್ಲಿ. Voltages, currents will be different, but ultimately when you take the equations, they will have the same form. This duality principle, if you have thought about it a bit, with so many examples that I have given, should also indicate to you that if current and voltage are the duals of each other, then a current source and a voltage source should also be duals of each other. This is true, and using this idea, we can actually convert a current source into an equivalent voltage source. A real practical current source into an equivalent voltage source and vice versa. Now, as part of the extension of this theorem, I will try to do that. This looks a little involved. You have to pay extra attention to understand the concept. Now, what I am going to do is this. I am given a source and I am given a load resistance. If I have to classify the source, if the internal resistance of the source is large compared to the load resistance, then it will behave as a current source. If the internal resistance is very small compared to the load resistance, it will behave as a voltage source. Essentially, if they have to be equivalent, then I have to show that the current drawn by the load resistance, whether you represent the given source as a voltage source or as a current source, the current drawn by the load in all conditions must be the same. If we establish that, then we would have established that the two sources are identical irrespective of how you talk of them. Whether you talk of them as a current source or you talk of them as a voltage source. Now, let me make a beginning with this issue. I am given a DC source, figure 1. These are the output terminals. It may have a resistance which I have shown here. I have shown it as RS1. Now, these are the terminals. AB is the output port, output terminal, where I have connected a load resistor RL. The source voltage is Vs. Remember these numbers, these names. Vs is the source voltage. RS1 is its resistance, internal resistance, when we think of it as a voltage source. I am generalizing because I have to show ultimately that the two resistances will be equal. So this is as far as the voltage source is concerned. The same RL I will connect across the same voltage source. If I am to treat it as a current source, then I would be having a current source IS, which is ideal, and in parallel with it I would be having a resistance RS2. And remember, since this is the practical source, the main current IS will divide into two parts. One goes off as the current that is inside the cell, the other will be the current across the load. I is equal to I source plus I load. That is how the current will divide. We may write equations for each one of them. Now, if I am now to treat the given source as a voltage source, as I told you last time, Vs will be taken as the voltage. I am taking Vs as the voltage, internal resistance RS1. And when I am treating the source as a current source, it will be a current source giving me a short circuit current IS, and its internal resistance will be RS2. IS will be the source current when the source is having infinite resistance. Remember that. If we now establish that the current drawn by the load resistance is same, whether you represent the given source as a voltage source or as a current source, our job is done. And in the process, we will also show that a current source can be converted into an equivalent voltage source. Now, what is the first step that we take? We short circuit the output terminals of the voltage source. When we short circuit the output terminals, I get the short circuit current. Since this is flowing through the load, I will simply call the current as IL, I load. And I load, obviously, if you apply Ohm's law, is equal to the source voltage Vs divided by the source resistance RS1. If RL becomes 0, RS1, the internal resistance of the cell, is what controls the maximum current or short circuit current. This is equation 1. Now, for the current source, if I am going to short the output terminals, then what happens? If I am going to replace the RL by a short circuit, then all the source current will go through the short circuit. When all the source current goes through the short circuit, then what is the current flowing? If I call that current flowing as IL, that will be equal to the short circuit current supplied by the cell, which is IS. Then that IS can be taken as Vs by Rs2, Ohm's law. Here Vs is the voltage across the current source, the load terminals of the current source, when we are not shorting the output. So Is, when I short it, the current will be limited to the value of voltage Vs divided by the resistance of the source Rs2. This is equation 2. Now, we have established a condition for the short circuit case. Now, let us do the open circuiting of the same two sources. If the voltage source is short circuited and I call the open circuited, and I call the open circuit voltage as Vt, what will be Vt? If a supply is open circuited, you will get back its EMF across the open terminals. I have taken the source voltage as Vs. I called it now with a different name as Vt. Therefore, you know that Vt will become Vs. The source voltage will become the open circuit voltage. This you can call as equation 3 or 4. Because it's a very simple case, I have not named the voltage. Now, the same voltage when open circuited should appear across the current source also. And for a current source, if you recall the first session, the output voltage can be measured as Is into Rs. Therefore, when I open circuit the current source, the voltage across the source should also be equal to Vt, because the two sources are identical, and that Vt is taken as Vs. Therefore, for this open circuited current source, I can write Vs as equal to Is into Rs2, the current that it gives into the resistance. Now, since the two voltages have to be same, Vt is equal to Vs. Vs is Is into Rs2. Vt, the source voltage or the open circuit voltage when the voltage source is short circuited, is simply given by, if I were to write it in terms of the current, although there is no current, Is, the maximum current that flows, into Rs1, the internal resistance of the voltage source. I am now representing the output voltage in terms of the current and resistance. So, for the voltage source, the voltage Vt can be written as Is into Rs1. For the current source, the output voltage can be written as Is into Rs2. In both the cases, the output voltage Vt is equal to the source voltage, which I have named as Vs. Therefore, Is into Rs1 is equal to Is into Rs2, which means that Rs1 should be equal to Rs2. This means that if a voltage source has to be converted into an equivalent current source, then the two internal resistances have to be the same. The voltage source and the current source should have the same internal resistance. Now, therefore we can add a concluding sentence as far as converting a voltage source into a current source is concerned. A given current source can be converted into an equivalent voltage source supplying the same current, of course, by connecting a resistance, the same resistance as the internal resistance of the current source, in series with the voltage source. In other words, if I have a source of certain EMF and certain internal resistance, if I am treating it as a voltage source, it has the voltage and it has that internal resistance connected in series. This voltage source can be converted into a current source by simply taking an ideal current source and connecting in parallel the same internal resistance as the voltage source has got. This is how you convert a voltage source into a current source and vice versa. Now let us go further to show that a current source and a voltage source are duals of each other. So, I have taken two cases here. One is the open circuit case, the other is the short circuit case, in which I have shown that the two supplies are behaving identically. They have the same voltage. If you talk of the open circuit voltage, they have the same short circuit current if you are shorting the output terminals. Now, if the load resistance is anywhere between these two limits, then what happens? If the load resistance is anywhere between these two extremities, for the voltage source, the load current through the load resistance will be given by, if I call it as IL1, source voltage divided by source resistance plus load resistance. This is simply application of Ohm's law. If the same situation I have to look at in the case of the current source. Since this current source has its internal resistance in parallel with the load resistance, I can use the branch current formula. So if IL2 is the current flowing through the load resistance, then that current will be equal to IS, the main current supplied by the source, the maximum current supplied by the source, into RS divided by RS plus RL. Note here that I am using the traditional branch current formula. Main current into resistance of the other branch divided by sum of the resistances. But if you look at this, the product IS into RS gives you the voltage Vs, which was the output voltage of the voltage source. Therefore, this expression IL2 can simply be written as Vs divided by RS plus RL. Now you find that expressions for IL1, that is load current in the case of the voltage source representation, and IL2, the load current in the case of the current source representation, they are simply identical. In other words, the load resistance RL draws the same current from the supply irrespective of whether you represent it as a voltage source or represent it as a current source. Therefore, we have completely established why a voltage source is the dual of a current source. And in the process, we also found that a given voltage source can be converted into a current source by simply connecting a resistance of value equal to its own internal resistance in parallel with the current source. If you want to convert the current source into voltage source, simply do the other way. Connect the same internal resistance as the resistance of the current source in series with an ideal voltage source. So, with this, we have come to the end of the discussion on current and voltage sources. So, we can now look at once again what we have studied in this session. We discussed the principle of duality, which says that in electricity and electronics there are quantities, there are equations, and there are circuits which are simply the duals of each other. If you replace one quantity with its dual, the forms of these equations will not change. So, we are given several examples of quantities that are duals in the sense of the inverses of each other. We have shown that there are several equations in physics which have duals. In other words, you have an equation in terms of voltages, you can simply, and resistances, you can simply convert them into equations with currents and conductances, the situation electrically will not change. Then we have shown that the practical voltage source is the dual of the practical current source. And we use the principle of duality to convert a practical voltage source into a practical current source. Now, as usual, we look at suggestions for further reading. As I have been telling you, as far as electrical technology is concerned, Electrical Networks by B.L. Teresa is an excellent book. Similarly, Circuit Analysis, Introductory Circuit Analysis by R.L. Boylestad, PHI publication if I remember right. That is also an excellent source. There are several internet sources, you can always consult them. There are some textbooks exclusively written for the third semester of your university syllabus. One such book is by Dr. H.S. Vidya and Dr. H.S. Manjunatha, Smart Physics, publisher being Sunstar. You can always refer to them. Part 3, Electricity and Magnetism. That is the book. Then, as usual, Resnick and Halliday, Principles of Physics, 10th edition. With this, we come to the conclusion of this session. We may end here. Thank you very much.